having a big party to celebrate your unborn child's assumed gender.
And so if it takes a trans person lying about how much screen time they have in order for them to get life-saving medical care, I by all means support them.
So I came out because of a TikTok.
Up next, as always, I have to do this because you people, you like to watch me suffer. I don't know why. Some of you are sick. You're sadistic little people. But you like to watch me suffer and lose brain cells as I watch woke TikTok. So we're going to check in on the alphabet community on TikTok. And fair warning, they're not okay. They're not doing well.
Why? Why? Why are you doing this at all? Whether it's cupcakes or confetti or balloons, why are you having a big party to celebrate your unborn child's assumed gender? Why are you doing that? Why? What is that about? What is that tied to? Why do you feel the need to insist on this? To just assert girl, 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 or boy, boy, boy. Why is this so important to you? Why are you doing this? Why are you working so hard to enforce something that's so big about a person's identity, like their gender, like something that's so big about the way that they're going to experience life and move through the world, and you're just insisting on this for this unborn person without consulting them, without knowing them. You haven't met this person yet. You don't even know what kind of person they're going to wind up being, and you're just you are pink or you are blue. Why? Why? Why are you doing that?
So I'm going to have my producer turn him down a little because homeboy is screaming at us, which don't love that. Don't love that, babe. And look, I will preface this by saying that some of y'all have taken the gender reveal thing way too far. I mean, I've seen news stories where people are died or killed because people are doing crazy ass stunts in their gender reveals. Like, a cake will do, Susan. But I don't understand why woke TikTok would be that upset or that triggered about it. People are excited about having a baby. They're excited about having a little boy or a little girl. And in 99+% of the cases, that child is not going to be trans, not going to have gender dysphoria. So yeah, is there a rare chance that there could maybe identify as a different gender later one day? Yes, but cross that bridge when they come to it, which they probably won't in almost all cases. It's fine for people to be excited about having a little boy or a son or a daughter because gender is real and sex is real and these things exist and matter and are material for most people's lives. And I don't understand why woke people have to always be such killjoys and try to problematize or cancel everything that other people do that they don't like. No one's making you have a gender reveal for your kid, but if other families want to do it, as long as they're not crashing planes and doing this crazy stuff that some of y'all are out of control, let them do it. It's harmless. The baby's not even going to remember it, so they're not going to be harmed by it like you think. Also, what do you mean without consulting them? How are they supposed to consult a newborn? I just don't understand how worked up some of these people get over the most inconsequential things. Calm down, Kevin. Calm down. Up next, this person says TikTok taught them to be trans.
So I came out because of a TikTok. There was a sound being used that was Bo Burnham just describing things. I'd be like, oh, that is a scarecrow. It was one of those describing things, and me and my girlfriend were in bed watching this TikTok laughing because they're all so relatable to me, and we joke about how I think these things. And then it said it's a trans thought. So we both kind of look at each other and go, click the sound and go watch a bunch more videos. And after 4 or 5... she goes, how you doing? And I look at her and say, I'm afraid I might be trans. And she just took my hand and said, why are you afraid? And that was it. There was no reason to stay back because I knew I wouldn't be alone.
Cool.
And not everyone's that lucky. Yeah. Best moment of my life. Second best. Meeting her.
So first, no hate to this person, and I'm happy you found a special partner that loves you and is sticking through you with all this. I really am happy for you about that. But that's not how trans works. People who are actually trans, who have gender dysphoria, have experienced that from a very young age. They aren't sitting around as adults and one day they watch a TikTok and discover that they've been trans their whole life and didn't know it. That's not how that works. Now, that's how social contagion works. That's how things spread. But people who don't actually have them, like when we saw on TikTok, a huge widespread of people suddenly having tics and Tourette's because they saw so many TikToks with it. But that doesn't mean they actually have it. That's a social phenomenon. And when we're talking about something that involves making physical alterations to your body that if you end up not wanting them are mutilations, that's not good. Suffice it to say, this person is not the only person discovering a new identity on TikTok, and that should be very concerning, because in the rare cases where these things do exist and they are real, that's a conversation for you and your doctor, not for you and some comedian on TikTok to discover together. Keep your kids off these apps, man. That's what I'll say. Keep your kids off these apps, because if a grown adult can be persuaded by them, how do you think it's going to affect 13-year-olds who already hate their body because it's a normal phase of life? This is very worrying to me that people are just openly admitting this. And yet some people will say it doesn't happen. It's not a social phenomenon at all. It's all just organic in their identity and their truth. We're not buying that. Susan, Kevin, we're not buying that. Up next, pronoun lessons in elementary school?
I'm going to go over a lesson I do with my elementary students. This lesson is super easy to do, and it's something that you can just continue throughout the entire year when it comes to respecting other people's pronouns. So I went to amaze.org and we watch a video there on pronouns and how to respect each other's pronouns. It does a great job of talking about pronouns and really breaking down how they are not connected to gender, but more about personal preference and identity and how they can change. We then created this anchor chart together describing pronouns. And all the language on the bottom as well as in the blue, the students came up with on their own. And then prior to this, we also read some books around pronouns.
Y'all, please don't blame us for this. Please don't blame everyday gay and lesbian people or even trans people at mass for this, because most of all, we aren't pushing this. We aren't supporting this. Elementary school? These weird pronoun lessons in elementary school. It's a no from me. It's a no. I would not want that taught to my child in first or second or third grade, because they are too young to understand these complex concepts about gender identity, which, to be honest, are not facts. Like, this is not neutral education. You're presenting them with deeply ideological claims as if they are fact that most people don't agree with or believe. This is not appropriate. The elementary school is supposed to teach kids to read and write, not indoctrinate them into a gender cult. That's just terrible. I would not be happy if my kid was coming home with Caesar's M pin and had just gotten a pronoun lesson in first grade. It's not age appropriate. It's not an anti-LGBT thing, right? This is not hate. It's about what's age appropriate for kids. And telling first graders that they might be two-spirit is not age appropriate. You're just going to confuse kids. If you do have, and 99+% of the time, it's not necessary. If you do have a kid in that class who has gender dysphoria or is having gender issues or wants to have different pronouns, tackle it in a case-by-case situation. But in almost all the cases, it's not going to be an issue, and you don't need to needlessly confuse kids or expose them to material they can't understand to do this. In the rare instances where a situation does come up, just address and deal with it and teach them all to be kind and respectful to each other and respect each other's different right to feel their own ways. It's not that hard. But what you're doing here is really going to rub a lot of people the wrong way and bring about backlash to the entire LGBT community. So I do not appreciate that, Susan or Kevin or whatever this person is. Up next, this TikToker is encouraging people to lie to their doctor.
Sometimes lying to doctors is okay, and sometimes it's necessary. This discussion is about medical providers telling people who are seeking a gender dysphoria diagnosis or access to gender-affirming care that they aren't trans based on how much time they spend on TikTok. That's what I was talking about in that video, the idea that being trans is a mass hysteria or a socially contagious mental illness that people are catching through spending time on social media. That's a load of bullshit. And if a medical provider asks you if you spend a lot of time on TikTok and you say yes, they can deny you gender affirming care. That is a trend that is starting to happen. Like I said in that video, this is something that we already saw happen with Tourette syndrome. Thousands of people could not get the medical attention that they need based on these unsubstantiated biases that medical providers have. And so if it takes a trans person lying about how much screen time they have in order for them to get life-saving medical care, I by all means support them. Doctors should be evaluating people based on their feelings and experiences, not how much time they spend looking at social media.
This is so terrible because this person is literally encouraging children. I mean, who do you think the audience is? Half of the people on TikTok to lie to their doctors. No, that's deranged. You should be honest with your doctor because they're the medical experts, and these treatments you're talking about have life-altering consequences and side effects. They are not a joke. It is not like taking sugar pills. It is not like munching down candy on Halloween. We're talking about things that can affect your lifelong fertility, your lifelong sexual functioning. This is not a joke, and it is something that doctors need to carefully consider if it is right for a person and if they meet a certain diagnosis, or is it just a passing fad or something they're, have been exposed to on TikTok. Because guess what? Doesn't always mean they actually have persistent gender identity issues. In fact, a lot of people, we literally just played a video a few minutes ago of somebody who said they discovered they were trans off TikTok, even though that's not how it works. If you have gender dysphoria, you will have it innately for a long time. It won't just emerge because you see some TikToks. If it does, then you don't really have gender dysphoria, and you shouldn't be making life-altering medical decisions, and you certainly shouldn't be lying to your medical professionals. They went to school for a very long time, and they understand these things better than you and your WebMD or your TikTok search. So the idea that you're going to circumvent their judgment by lying to them to trick them into giving you the medication you want rather than the medication you need is a very bad idea and a very dangerous and slightly creepy thing to be suggesting to children on TikTok. All right, guys, I can't handle any more LGBT TikToks without my brain exploding. And that's it for this episode of the Damage Control Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you're a repeat viewer, I know y'all are repeat viewers and don't subscribe. Please subscribe. Take a second out of your day. Subscribe, like, comment, yada, yada, yada. And I'll see you all in my next video. If you want to keep watching Damage Control, check out my interviews with Blair White or Buck Angel for your next video.